Hello and welcome to Las Blancas podcast.
I'm your host, Yash Thakur, and we are back with another episode of Las Blancas, this time discussing our fifth straight win in the league against Granada now. Now we have won five straight games in Liga F. And this one was again a very straightforward game. We won 3-1, but at one point in the game, we were level with them. Uh, and there was a missed penalty. So there was some drama. There was a change of personnel. As always, there was some rotation. There was some interesting bit of positioning from some players. And we'll talk about all of that. We'll get into all of that and we'll bring you the best insights. And to do all of that, as always, I've got Kanita with me. Kanita, how are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I love this team. They sometimes annoy me with all that weird um, positioning they did in this game, But I'm never bored. I might be annoyed sometimes. I'm never bored with this team, but they saved the day because later on the men's team lost at the Vasco. So thank you, thank you, girls. So yeah, at least one thing that came out well out of that day. So yay!
Yeah, and I think that is why we don't acknowledge men's football. That is why, guys, men's football is not real.
Exactly. It's an imaginary
Uh,
sport.
but yeah, let's get into it right away. Let's start by talking about the lineups, which will make clear what interesting positioning and what rotation we are talking about. So let's quickly look at the lineups, and it was an interesting one. It's a game where we could afford some rotation, honestly, and we did make some changes. It was interesting because Olga was once again not there in the starting lineup. So it was Misa in goal, Sheila as the right back. Maria Mendes and Lakrar continued to be our centre back partnership, but it was Oihane as the left back, which was interesting and a big talking point in this game, in my opinion. The double pivot of Luipols and Toletti, with a front four of Athenea, Weir, Linda Caicedo, and Brun. So I'll start by sharing my thoughts. I'll quickly get the obvious ones out. So I think this is the front four in this game is something that Toril is going to persist with, because I think this was his sort of preferred lineup or preferred attack sort of last season, as well, with this sort of combination of Athenea, Linda, and Weir there. And I think that will continue. I think this quartet is going to play a large number of minutes when they are all fit. So, no surprises, no real surprises there. But we'll talk about how different synergies between Linda and Oihane and Athenea, Shay and Toletti on the right hand side worked, because that was interesting. The interesting part for me was Oihane at left back, and I was curious to see how she performs. Because whenever Oihane plays, you always expect a 7 out of 10 at the minimum. She always gives you a baseline performance no matter what. But this game was different, and we'll talk about her performance because in my opinion, it was not a good performance from her. She looked really uncomfortable playing on the left hand side, and yeah, apart from that, like pretty straightforward lineup. What did you make of it?
Yeah, guys, there wasn't Olga as always the left back, but yeah, when while we're at Olga has a discomfort in her hip, so
Yeah,
that there's that. Also, she for some reason played 90 against Levante for some reason. I don't know. And why she wasn't in the squad at all. So not only did she not start, she didn't play. So this is the first game she missed. First she didn't
yes,
start against
but
Villarreal, but played a bit later on. Yeah.
good for her that she finally gets a 90. That I think that is the only way she would have ever gotten a 90-minute rest, to be honest. Just
Sally,
hope that.
Yasmin hasn't joined the squad yet. She's in the process of moving, so yeah, she's not with the squad yet. So yeah, very unfortunate timing, honestly, for Olga. But yeah, um, and Feller also has some problems with her ankle, so
Yeah.
she's missing. So, yeah, I mean, front four, as you said, normal, and I expected late balls and Toletti. I also knew that Oihane would have started on the left side. I was between um, like two options. This was definitely my most like probable one that he'll just do this normal thing with Diana on the left back. However, I know that sometimes he is in a silly, goofy mood and he changes the formation. And I was like, maybe he puts like three at the back, like maybe with two center backs and I don't know, Antonia or whoever, but I didn't think that Antonia would start because of the last game or whatever. He's weird with the rotations. So yeah, I mean, I think this was the most probable one, the most normal option to put, honestly. I wasn't well, at least we saw Oihane on the left from the beginning. I know that sometimes he would put her on the left side and like very very rarely. But I know that I would always have wanted to like given Olga some more rest in especially in the games like the goleadas and things like just rest Olga and put Oihane on the left side to train her on the left. But yeah, we got it now in this game against Granada. Didn't go so well, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a sort of a failed experiment in this game, and we'll talk about that. But let's start by quickly mentioning the three goals that we scored, and I think one of the big talking points is the missed penalty as well, because with no Olga in the squad for this game, somebody would have to take up the mantle to take penalties, and it was a sort of a left field option because nobody was. I mean, when you have got both of your strikers on the pitch, you expect them to take the penalties, but that wasn't the case. So our opening goal in this game was scored by Lakrar. A corner situation, ball bouncing, her getting the final touch right at the like closer to the far post. She just bundled it in and pretty straightforward goal. Then it was Granada who scored, and then we took the lead via Brune. Once again, like good move from Linda on the left hand side, and she puts the ball in, and Brune just bundles it home very straightforward. Final goal by Eva, first goal for her, for Eva Navarro, and I mean, once again, a bit of a mix up on the left hand side. Oihane trying to dribble, fails it. Ball kindly falls for her. She bundles it home. Again, not many impressive like goals, to be honest. Like we have had better goals throughout the season, but it got the job done. And I think we have had multiple opportunities in this game. Like we could have been easily 2-3 up in the first half itself. In my opinion, there was a Athenea missed chance. There was a Linda opportunity in the 1v1 situation from the left hand side that she probably scores 8 out of 10 times. But you know, such is finishing. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. Because the only difference between this game and the 6-0 against Levante was the finishing. I feel like, because the XG in both the games, if you look at it, it was almost similar. But we look at Levante game as this utterly dominant performance, and I mean, obviously, it was against a 10-player the side. It was different, and yet we still created 3.8 xg. We created 3.7 xg in this game, so we created high quality chances. This was the same xg that we created against Twente. I think it was when we won 7-0. It was around the same xg that we created in that game as well. So uh, looking back at it, sometimes the number of goals that we score skews the way we view a performance, but I don't think that should be the case. Had Athenea and Linda scored their opportunities in the first half, we would be talking very differently about this game, I feel. But overall, I did not hate the processes. I think it was very straightforward. The same thing, move the ball to the wide areas and then let your wingers either take over or cross the ball for a big target player in the middle, which is Bruno. So nothing much in that, but we will get to the specifics. But Kanita, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Well, first of all, I just have to mention Granada's goal. That was so funny. That was from a corner, you know. So we tried to clear that ball away, and then kept bouncing around in front of our box. And finally, they got it to Imade. Half of our team thought she was offside, and they stopped. And also, she wasn't marked completely. So yeah, she got that goal. She also had a few chances throughout the game. So yeah. But for some reason we left her unmarked, and then we asked if it was offside. No, it was miles onside. I know that was just funny. I don't know why this keeps happening, but it does. I don't know. And the game overall, it was so confusing. I was so confused. I was the our wide areas confuse me so much because as you already mentioned Oihane. However, there were some weird things happening on both sides, like they were kind of disconnected, and between the fullback and the winger, and I don't know, it was so odd. And it was like I was watching a game without our um wide areas, like nothing was organized. They would just switch sides. I don't know what I did. I have no idea. Like, I watched and rewatched, and I was so confused. And yeah, we'll look at something to maybe get a gist of it. So yeah, but overall it was I don't know, it was kind of, yeah, dull. It was dull. Yeah, then the word is dull I would use for this game.
Yeah, the part that you mentioned about, our wide areas not functioning as well is also a bit down to a sort of a new combination that we were playing. The synergy between Linda and Oihane on the left is not same as the synergy between Linda and Olga on the left. And the right hand side has been something that has kept changing, with Athenea being injured in between. She hasn't had the time to develop that sort of synergy with anybody on the pitch yet. And I think if you look at our passing network as well, I think that really hits home the point, because on the right hand side, we a lot of the times we saw Athenea being slightly isolated, not having many interchanges with the midfielder or the fullback either. And I think that is partly because it was a sort of a new combination, to be honest. So that really showed. And here, like, as you can see here, I'll just quickly point it out what we are talking about, and what Kanita, you were also mentioning is this part. Look at this, Athenea not having any sort of combinations with Toletti or Sheila, which is, not ideal. You would want your winger and your that wide triangle to sort of have a lot of connections. Like here they did. The left hand side was a totally different story. You see, Linda was our go-to for everything. That second goal as well, I think it started on the right hand side, and then the ball was quickly moved to the left hand side by Alba Redondo, and then Linda just attacked the box and played the ball across for the goal. So, even a move that started on the right was quickly moved towards and pivoted towards Linda for her to take over and for her to create some sort of opportunity. But here the difference is, on the right hand side, you see all of these three players were at least in the vicinity of each other. So they were trying to form these lot of close connections and trying to build from there. But a lot of the times, the the gap between Oihane and Linda, or the understanding between Oihane and Linda was completely off. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Oihane is a right-footed player. Playing on the left-hand side immediately restricts her and her movements, because she cannot attack the byline and then put across with her left foot. Everybody knows, and the opposition knows that she will, and she's definitely going to cut in, right? She's going to switch the ball to her right foot, and that is where the problem began. Her runs were not really great. Her dueling was not great. She won zero of her six contested duels in this game. She completed zero of her two attempted dribbles in this game. So it wasn't really a good performance at all from Oihane. And I think her being put on the pitch for the closing few minutes, like 10-15 minutes, playing as the left back is fine. But I think the left back position, if we are deciding to rotate, we should consider, probably Yasmin would be the serious option when she's incorporated in the squad and ready to play. But yeah, this Oihane experiment against, maybe a stronger opposition would have really impacted our style. So yeah, I mean, I think those were the key talking points for me. What would you like to add, Kanita, to this?
I know that before we started recording, I actually asked if it were my eyes fooling me, or would it Toletti and Shay interact like between each other much more than with at all with Athenea. So this passing network actually shows it perfectly. I mean, these two are really close to each other, and they were like Shay. It was when one of the games that Shay really went inside. She does it. She does that mostly. However, in some games, it's basically all she does. In this game, she liked to cut in, and even at some points in the game, she would just swoosh it to the left side,
Yeah,
and because of this space between Oihane and Linda you mentioned, and that's obvious here, and it was big, like when you were watching it, they were all the time far apart, and Leupolds had to cut in there, and however she would sometimes and not a lot, but rarely for individual action, she would just slap on the left side, and okay, I'm just gonna stay here for the remainder of the action and help you guys just move the ball around. And it did. I think it was like there was a smooth action, like a seventh minute or something like that. And like in the first 10 minutes, you can check it out. Like she legit cut in and did, and she helped Oihane. She was there with Oihane, and Oihane passed between. It was between Oihane and her, and then she got it to Linda, and it was a shot. Even we got a shot there. I think from Brun in the end. I'm not sure. But yeah, Athenea also tried to do it once. Didn't go as well as when Shay did towards the left side. But yeah. And yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. I mean, I whenever I was looking at the left side, whenever we had the ball, it was I don't know. I never um it it could be seen very clearly that Oihane was very lost there. You mentioned duels, she didn't win any of them, and yeah, it was really seen, and she was really struggling. Every time I saw her with the player, she was just struggling so much. She was fighting there. Even like I remember even the defense, like she was legit chasing the player with the ball towards the corner. She had so many troubles to get there, and she doesn't usually when she's in her position on the right back. So yeah, very odd game. Um, on the left side, which is not something we're used to saying, right? Our left side is a lot, but yeah, and we
yeah.
didn't have Olga, right? So yeah.
And the surprising thing is, like you mentioned, like we are not used to saying our left hand side being, the weaker side, or the weaker side in attack, where, because usually it's our left hand side that we channel attacks through. But it in this game, most of our attacks came down the right hand side. So, that tells you a lot. We are a very left-sided team. Like our attacks are heavily left-sided skewed, to be honest, with Linda playing there, with Weir sort of forming that connection there, and Olga being there. So all of these really attacking player playing on the same sort of side really helps. In this game, Weir was also not as involved. I don't know what was up, but she did not. She was very off pace in this game. She wasn't able to find the right target, so it wasn't her best of games, to be honest. But yeah, I mean that point where a side that usually prefers to go via the left hand side, and for them to have a more attacks via from the right hand side, that says a lot. So yeah, I think that really sums it up in this game. But another big talking point in this game was the penalty, right? So we receive a penalty and steps up Teresa to take it. And this is coming at a time where, Olga isn't on the pitch. Olga isn't even on the bench. Weir had just been substituted. But on the pitch were two of your strikers, both of your strikers, in fact, Brune and Alba Redondo were both on the pitch, and yet Tere took the penalty. She struck it really well, like got underneath it, but hit the crossbar. So, I mean, not the best technique, to be honest. Like, she hit it with a lot of power. She just skied it and it hit the crossbar. The concern for me was like when you have both of your strikers on the pitch. Yes, I get Brune. Weir was just taken off, but Brune and Redondo were on the pitch still. Like, should there be a talk about at least one of our striker being in that penalty taking, being all that penalty taking duties in the top three in terms of the hierarchy? Like, yes, Olga is our first choice penalty taker, fair enough. Second, maybe Caroline Weir, but I think third, at least third, should be one of our leading strikers, right? Like, well, what do you think of this? Like, are you okay with Tere taking the penalties? Because I mean, she isn't the best penalty kick taker. She isn't known for her penalty taking skills, or hasn't taken a lot of penalties across her career either, right? And to see her step up when players like Brune and Redondo, who would love to get on those goals, get on the score sheet to boost their confidence every game, should be at least third choice penalty taker in the team. What do you make of it?
I'm sorry for bringing this up. However, I don't expect a lot of logic in this penalty decision thing after the cup
Because
final decisions in the penalty shootout. Like, I'm sorry for bringing it up. I'm just not like I'm not moved by this at all. I've seen enough. Like, why would you put Smava to shoot that penalty anyway? Uh anyway, not flashbacks, right? Um, I don't know why. Listen, I get it. Maybe I don't know. Tere is one of the captains, so she took it. You know.
do you think it's
Um,
it's it's more to do
Misa would
with
have
the
taken it if she wasn't a goalkeeper.
yeah, so
Probably.
yeah, that is what I was going to ask. So do you think it's more to do with the captaincy thing? Like,
Probably.
is it only the captains that will take the penalties?
Yeah, but on the other side, I don't think that if Weir was on the pitch that Tere would have taken that. So I think it is Weir's second choice for penalty taker. So I don't know. It is weird. I mean, okay, sure, Weir is weird. So I'm not. I don't think that there should be any uh, explanations sought for. But yeah, I don't know. I know that all that Tere took some penalty before. I think last season, and she did it very well. So I don't know. Like this was like decent one. Yeah, hit the crossbar, and also like last time we had Olga take a penalty, she skied it. So I don't know. Lately, we haven't really been doing well with penalties. So I don't know. It's a curse or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't understand the decision, especially when both of your strikers are on the pitch.
Yeah.
I would actually prefer for them to be at least in the pecking order uh, after maybe Olga and Caroline Weir. But yeah, I mean that is one thing. But another thing that was a big talking point in this game was a personal milestone for Athenea. She completed 100 games in the league, and looking back, you can't even you don't even realize that she's been around for that long. But yeah, I mean she has been an ever-present part of the side. Wasn't the best performance from her on her 100th league game, but we'll take that. And I think like overall, looking back at her career at Madrid, would I say that she has progressed as you would have expected her, watching her at Depot or watching her taking on players and being this electric winger? I would probably say not as much. Like her career has definitely slightly plateaued. Her development has definitely plateaued a little bit. Expectation was that she would be the one leading this attack in the coming years after Aslani left the team, and it looked like the mantle would be on Athenea now to sort of carry this attack and be the one of the leading lights in this attack. That hasn't happened as much as we would have expected it to happen. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we are right in expecting slightly more from her, given that she is one of the senior members in the team now. So yeah, I mean, congratulations to her on her 100th game, and hopefully, like beyond this, it's all really good performances back to back, and she just something clicks and she just kills it with the way we we grew fond of her, watching her at Depot and in her early days when she would just take on players. And I remember very clearly that there was this phase in the very first season where she would pick the ball on the left hand side, and in consecutive games, in like uh, 5 games, 3 times or something, she did it where she would cut in and she would just curl the ball in, and we were like, oh damn, this is a player that is going to be one of our stars. And uh, 3 4 years down the line, she's still a part of the team, she's still an integral part of the team, but her output and her productivity can, I think, still improve a little bit. What are your thoughts looking back at Athenea's career, her 100 games in the league, and any other thoughts that you have on her?
It's actually crazy to look back on how many seasons she's been here. So yeah, she came
Yeah.
in the second season. And you think like we have only 3 players left from the first season and not that many from the second season. They're like that it shows how much our team has been changing like every single summer. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that like in the beginning of this season I was seeing like hints of Regatenea back, like kind
Yeah,
of,
like
and
Athenea,
I
that was her nickname at the very
yes,
start. She would take on players, she would nutmeg them.
yes, regate literally means dribble for
Yeah.
those who need Spanish lessons. You're welcome. So yeah, and I was saying like I hope like these hints of Regatenea will see the light again, and it was a bit, and then she got injured. And yeah, it was a very um weird injury, like in on training, right in the training. So yeah, I don't know. And since she came back, she hasn't really had a game that you could highlight her, right? And I think they rushed her. I think she shouldn't have played it. So she recovered in like a month. and she should have been out for like 2.5 months. So I don't know. Anyway, I never mind. But yeah, like you said, like in the beginning, like when she came from Depor, like in Depor, she was always like this star player, and like oh my god, big talent, and she really like she was big regatene, I know, and she came to Madrid, and she was herself, and as the time progressed, and I don't know, especially like in the last 2 seasons, um he was like dulled down, toned down a lot. He stopped doing it like completely, and when I saw it back, like this season, at least hints of it, I was excited. I wanted I wanted to see more of that. I was rooting for her. I was rooting for Regatania, to come back to life. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I know that she's one of the players that throughout the years we've been talking about how um it feels like she's not she's not getting instructions at all from the
Yeah,
coach. So, that's a big minus, and that's a lot of why it plateaued, like her career overall. We
yeah.
need a
I
new coach.
Yeah, I think like it's different with different players because
Yeah.
some players like that freedom, you give that freedom to Linda and she'll figure stuff out. But I think with Athenea, sometimes she's playing on the left, sometimes she's playing on the right hand side, and this is not in game. This is her actual positioning. At times, she has been deployed as a wing back at a couple of times. So there have been different demands from her in different games and over the course of different seasons. And I think that has sort of restricted her from being able to fully sort of capitalize on her strengths. And I think that is what we should be aiming for. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild that she has been here for so long. Like she she she's one of the key players in the squad. But yeah, the demand and the expectations from her are as high as well, and I think she can slightly do better in terms, at least in terms of her production. At least I think we should be getting slightly more from her in terms of output, in terms of goals and assists. So yeah, hopefully that all changes, and by the end of the season she finishes very strongly, because this is the business end and it all matters now. So yeah, let's see. But yeah, that I think brings us to the end of the pod. Let's quickly try to figure out who the MVP was in this game. I I'll go first. For me, I think it's a toss between, I would have said Lakrar, but like we conceded, and nobody looked good in that goal. The awareness at times as well was not really good, because there was this one chance from inside of the box that was Misa saved it really quick, from a very close range, and in that as well the defense looked absolutely done for. So yeah, I think in this game, Linda could have had a goal, got the assist, and was our primary source of threat on the left hand side. I think Linda Caicedo. What do you say?
I am so confused by this game. I'm so confused. Um, it's so hard to highlight a player for me. Like, I don't know. It's so chaotic. I know. Yeah, she came on in the second half. Listen, listen. This might be a recent bias towards Angeldahl. We haven't, Linda, maybe Angeldahl. Angeldahl came on in the second half, in like minute before our second goal, by the way, and she recovered as well. Like we didn't mention it, but yeah, she recovered the ball from the throw in she had, and that's how this chance started. And when she was on, the left side actually looked like something. But yeah, I don't know. Look for Linda too. She was like yeah, she produced the second goal as well, and she was up there a lot, and she did a lot. And yeah, in the game where we can't really, like, I can't highlight, a specific player. Yeah, I'll go for Linda. Yeah.
Right. So I guess Linda it is. But yeah, I agree. And Angeldahl had a decent showing after coming off the bench. So yeah, I guess Linda is the MVP for this game from our side. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the pod. This was a very straightforward game. In all honesty, there weren't many tactical wrinkles apart from the fact that we were playing a right back at the left back, and her footedness really hampered the way we progressed the ball and the way we attacked on that side. But yeah, hopefully that won't happen in the next game. And our next game is against Aibar, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, we will be bringing you podcast. We'll be bringing you all the insights that we can using the match clips, using data, and we'll try to bring you the best content for Real Madrid Femenino. And I would just like to thank everyone, to all the listeners. You guys make this possible. And we read all of your comments, we read all of your replies on the stuff we post, we read all of your quote tweets. So with any suggestions that you have, we have received some really positive feedback for the stuff that we have done with incorporating some screenshots and some visualization. So we are going to continue doing that for every single game. And yeah, hopefully you guys continue to support us. And yes, I guess just thank you. Thank you for doing it. And we really appreciate it. Until next time, Hala Madrid.
Real Madrid.